I think, honestly, our secret weapon is that Aaron and I both have completely separate skills. So he has always been the salesperson. He's always been the prospector, the one that goes on appointments. And he dedicated a lot more time to that. And I kind of split my time to doing the systems, the management of the operations manager, so managing the staff, but also all the kid stuff. Like, I really took that on myself.
One thing that we've learned from you and Aaron is to just take on separate sides of the business.
That's super inspiring, because I know a lot of, women feel like, I can't have it all. I can't do it all. This is so overwhelming. So what was your secret? Like, how did you balance having 3 kids and working at the same time? I know, like, you're bringing your kids sometimes, but what is the secret to doing that?
I don't know that there is a secret. I feel like every part of my motherhood experience so far, I have felt like I'm surviving, not thriving. I don't know. Does anyone really feel like they just are so good at it and they're giving it their all and they're totally focused and that they're just the best at this? Because I don't feel like that. There's days when, like tonight, Kenzie has her first night of her cheer camp that she's been so excited to do for 3 years because her older sister is a cheerleader. But I have to go to 2 showings and I have to do them because my husband has something else going on and then my buyer's agent has something else going on. So I have to do these showings. I'm like, man, I really wanted to be there. And most of the time I can make it work and I can be the mom first, but not always. And so it's never perfect. I don't know if there is a secret sauce. You just have to kind of figure out the balance.
Yeah, there's always going to be a trade-off, but I think you would agree that your kids watching you work and be successful is such a great learning experience for them. So, like, what is the big takeaway that you want to teach your kids? Like, what do you want to pass down to them, seeing their mom work and their parents work together? What does that mean for you?
I think the biggest thing is just showing them that you can set your mind to something and do it. I think if you ask any of my kids, if whenever I say, what do you want to do when you're older? They all say they want to own a business, which I know is so funny because it's actually really, really hard to own a business. But I'm like, you don't want to work for someone else. You want to be able to be in control of your own schedule and be in control of your own income. And, if I want to go to Greece in October for 2 weeks, I'll figure it out and go to Greece in October for 2 weeks. I'm not asking anyone for permission. And so I think that that's the big thing that I just want them to understand, that the way I grew up thinking that everyone has to have this corporate job that's safe and that has the dependable paycheck isn't necessarily the only route to go. And I mean, it's safe, but I watched my dad when I was in college. My dad got laid off from, he's an executive in IT, and I watched him get laid off during the 2008 market crash. And so it's not like when you work in these corporate jobs that you have this super safe environment. You still have some risk. But yeah, if you ask my kids, they all think that they want to own a business. I just want that in their head so that they know that there's options.
Of course. It's like a new mental map that they're being born into, that they can do anything. It's not just like there's this one path where you have to go to college and you have to get a job. And, there's so many possibilities and so many, skills and gifts that we all have. So I think that's awesome.
How about for you? Do you feel like you have like a secret sauce or something that you have just figured out that makes you be successful as both a mom and a wife and in owning a business?
You're not supposed to ask me questions, okay? This is my podcast. I think, honestly, our secret weapon is that Aaron and I both have completely separate skills. So he has always been the salesperson. He's always been the prospector, the one that goes on appointments. And he dedicated a lot more time to that. And I kind of split my time to doing the systems, the management of the operations manager, so managing the staff, but also all the kid stuff. Like, I really took that on myself. And like you said, it definitely wasn't perfect. Sometimes it was a shit show. Sometimes I resented him. Sometimes I hated him. Like, how dare you put all of this on me? I didn't sign up for this. So I think it's just important to remember that everything is a season. And it's continuously changing. Even now, we're evolving, we're learning new skills, but we always complement each other. So that's a great segue to ask you how it is working with your husband, the good and the bad. And would you recommend?
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that we've learned from you and Aaron is to just take on separate sides of the business. When we first started, both of us were, this is actually really embarrassing and it's a total nightmare, but when we first started in the business, we would both work with the same clients. So say we're working with Bob and Susie. Bob, Susie, Kendall, Kristen would all be on all the emails and all of the text messages together. But then if Bob had a last minute question and calls Kendall, Kendall would answer it to Bob, and then both of them would forget to tell Susie and Kristen. So then we would talk about it again, and they would be like, oh, we just had a phone conversation about that. And we would get mad at each other because I'm like, how do you not tell me? But he's like, I just got off the phone. Or like, oh, I had to go right to a showing, so I forgot to put it in the message. So, and it went both ways. We both did this all the time, and it was driving us insane. And so that was phase one. And then we started working with our own clients, but same type of client, but we would just both take on clients. And that was a lot better because at least we were both handling our own stuff. But sometimes still it would be really good friends. And so if it was our really good family friends or something like that, they would still ask Kendall questions, even though I would be their agent. And maybe he would have given an answer that I wouldn't have. And so still was a little bit tricky. So now we both have our ideal client and we separate that way. So Kendall handles more of the investment stuff and growing our portfolio, growing other people's portfolios, and handling any of like the multifamilies, development, stuff like that. He still does handle, single family clients as well if they're in his sphere, but I take on the bulk of the single family or condo purchases for the bulk of our sphere. And that allows it so that I can be an expert at that and Kendall can be an expert at the investment side of things. And that way, if someone calls me and they say, hey, I'm thinking like we just bought our single family last year, but we kind of want a multi, I'm like, call Kendall. I don't know. I don't even want to know. Just call Kendall. And that has allowed us to be able to grow together. I don't know if you noticed this, but if I look back at just our relationship, Kendall and I's relationship from the start, I feel like it's very difficult in a marriage, and especially when you throw kids in, to both be thriving at the same time. When Kendall, when he played football, I was the person there supporting, right? And then when he stopped playing football, I was trying to help him figure out what he's going to do next. And then when he decided on real estate, I was kind of already more so in real estate. So that was like where I was up and he was trying to support me there. And now we'll kind of go back and forth on like, okay, if he has a ton of stuff going on, like he has this huge development coming up in New Hampshire, it's 42 units, which is really exciting. So that's something that I'll be supporting him on. But it's very difficult to both be 1,000% in and super successful and thriving and just like mentally all in at the same time, because one person has to take care of the rest of the stuff in life, like the kids.